And I'm going to share my screen with you guys to look at the agenda. That's not the agenda. I'll share that a little bit later. Here's the agenda. So please look it over. Let me know if you have any questions or issues with it. Anything missing? Anything you want to add? Hearing nothing, I will ask if anybody would vote to approve or request for approval.
Sure. This is Laura. I would approve.
Okay, and have a second?
I can second.
Okay, I'm sorry, move. I lost the word. Move for approval. Great. So any objections to approving the agenda as it appears? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. And then for the minutes, if you remember, in December, we had a working meeting, and then the second meeting of December didn't happen because of school ending. So we are actually looking at the November minutes, and I will go down slowly. Again, I do just basically go through the recordings and transcribe the most pertinent points.
I wonder if November spelled at the top.
Did I spell wrong? Probably. Thank you. November. You don't like that? Thank you. November. Good catch, Aria. Should have had you looking at our ICER.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I got to do the checks of the links with you.
Thank you. That was incredibly helpful. I have to thank everybody. That was incredibly helpful, and we'll talk about that. If anybody needs me to slow down, I'm kind of just paging through. Okay. Any objections to approving the November 13th minutes as written? Hearing none, could I have somebody move to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I can second.
Thanks, Aria. All right. Any objections? Hearing none, the minutes from November 13th are approved. Okay, let's get to work. Okay. So I know that we only have you for a limited time, Dr. Richardson. Do you want to speak now, or do you want me to as a standing item, or with Laura's presentation?
No, that was fine. I just wanted to thank you all for all the help that you provided again with the ICER. That was such a huge task, and I know that I reached out to some of you, at odd hours, and you returned my calls and you emailed me back, Laura. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for working with us as we try to wrap everything up. I just wanted to share that this morning, Dr. Johnson and I met with some members of our visiting team, and I have to say, it was so nice because they were so supportive. So I think that that's a good sign. And just preliminarily, they shared with us that they felt our ICER was easy to read. They felt that it was under 300 pages, so they were grateful for that and really clear. So I'm excited that we did that they were able to provide us with that feedback just so early on. So they kind of gave us some hints for what to do. There's actually a guide that they provided us, and I think Hillary, if she hasn't already, will disseminate that to the committee. And it's a guide for the online virtual visit, for the virtual visit with them. So of course, our effort is to try and replicate the best we can the experience that we would have in person. So we are going to work hard to provide a greeting. And they kind of actually mentioned that as something that was kind of important to them, a very welcoming greeting from the college. And Hillary will be sharing with you later our ideas, I'm sure, about the videos that we want to put together. David brilliantly said to them, look, I know you look at our website. We want you to know that is in progress and that we are planning to have a very different look and feel by the time you get here. And so I think it was good to kind of get ahead of that and to talk about the fact that that's an area of growth for us, and we are addressing it in real time. So he also addressed the BPAS that we're planning to hire, and as sort of a preliminary acknowledgement that we don't have that person in our business office right now. So I thought that he did a really good job of kind of with them areas where we're in progress. They've also requested of us kind of a mini report on progress we've made since we sent the ICER, and I think we've done a number of things that we can speak to. So you can work with Hillary to provide your ideas of things in your areas that have happened since then, and we'll also work with, of course, the steering committee, the ICER steering committee, to pull that together. We didn't put a date on that, but I'd like to get that out next week if possible. So that's one thing that we talked about. Also, the team will be focused on areas of clarification. Before, I just remember participating as a faculty member on these teams, and it almost felt like it was so you said this in your report. What's really true? That was the kind of, but that's not the direction that the ACCJC is taking now. They're really going to be speaking to people who they need clarification from about what we've written in our ICER. So there may be some key people that they don't talk to at all because they've had all their questions answered in the report itself, but they may need clarification of some things, and those are the people that they're going to focus on interviewing. So
can I just add something to that, Denise? Mm-hmm. They do require that we have 2 open forums for anybody who is not scheduled but would like to speak to them, where the president does not attend. So just so you know, there is a time for that.
Absolutely. And when you go through that guide, you'll realize that we're going to put together a little task force just to make sure that we have everything in line, because they have very specific requirements to preserve the integrity of this process. And so all of the Zoom meetings have to be, run a certain way, no recordings of anything. Hillary, I'm sure you read that. And so they want to make sure that in some meetings that the chat is disabled so that people are really attentive. They want to make sure that everybody is present. So they don't want, us to put up our photos. They're really not interested in this multitasking while we're talking to them. So we really have to be fully present in those meetings whenever they occur with the ACCJC. So, they recognize, when, acts of God happen or acts of somebody happen that are beyond our control, they really want us to do our due diligence to make sure that we prevent any kind of issues with our internet connections or anything like that. So kind of scary because, at Merritt, we have our power outages. So I'm just praying that we don't have those kinds of issues between the 1st and 3rd of March. So we're going to be working on that. So as I said, the team will be focused on areas of clarification. They also said that in terms of the sample classes that they want to review, they're going to be reviewing a sample. I think it's no more than 10%, no fewer than 15. Was that the correct? No fewer than 15 classes that they'll be reviewing from fall 2020. So they're not going to be interrupting anything that we're doing in the spring. They're going to go directly to our archives, fall 2020, to get the samples that they're looking for. And interestingly, they're separating them out. They're separating out the DE classes that were originally,
to start with,
they're separating out the samples of courses that were covered by the blanket DE addendum versus those that had our formal DE approval. So they're recognizing that there's going to be perhaps a different level of expertise, if you will, for those classes of individuals who were teaching classes that, weren't previously DE, top DE. I didn't explain that well. I hope you guys.
I have a question about that, because when I read the guide, I thought it said we provide them with those classes. They can just choose.
That was my understanding as well, which was different than what I had thought. So we provide them, I believe, based on the guide, with a number of classes for them to sample from, for them to randomly sample from. So I'm glad you and I read that the same way, because I was going to go back and work with you and Neen to make sure that we all got that same understanding. So that was that. They're about the integrity of the document in terms of the website changes that we made. They want us to provide them with a project plan that we had in place for doing that, because they don't care necessarily that we're doing this just in alignment with, but they want to know that this is something that we've planned ahead of time that we're going to continue to improve upon. And of course, they're going to focus on the fiscal piece in terms of where we are in terms of our business office on Monday, in a meeting with David and the Chancellor. They, as I mentioned earlier, want us to work on our greeting and our welcome for the team. I showed them our T-shirt. They were so enthusiastic. So I was very excited that I was able to show them that. For those of you who may not remember what it looks like, I showed them the back and front, and they're like, we want one. So we definitely know that's going to be part of our swag bag that we provide them. So I think I've taken up enough time, but that was my report out from our meeting this morning and kind of what I wanted to share. So if anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Richardson?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for letting me go early on. This is being recorded, so I'll take a look to catch up with what I missed. But I'm going to go on and eat so you guys don't have to see anything between my teeth while I'm talking. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. All righty.
And I'll finish that accreditation report, but I want to provide Laura the floor so she can give us an update on assessment.
You're muted, Laura.
Thank you so much. I've just been rambling on. So great. Well, you'd think that I would be a pro by now. I was just saying that I would say a couple of the things that SLOAC is focusing on this semester. One of the things we're doing, we haven't been tracking Ilo Assessment because of some of the challenges with Curriculum. So one thing we've been tasked with doing this spring, and we'll actually get on that because we should have it done by at least some of the documentation by the visit date. We have those spreadsheets, the Google Docs that I'm sure that most of you probably know about, and it's how we track SLO assessment. And all departments get a link to that, and they can kind of see how they're doing and what they need to do for each semester in order to stay in compliance, which for us, we've said that at least one SLO, really we should be assessing all of our SLOs for each course over a 3-year cycle. Okay, and what SLOAC has said is, as long as at least one SLO, there's been some assessment in the last 3 years, then we're compliant. We're not reaching for this 100% goal, which we've gotten in trouble for before. So we've been tracking those. That's all well and good because we can do that in Curriculum. What we haven't been tracking are the ILO or PLO assessments. And so what we're going to try to do is we've grabbed some of that data from the APUs. I provided that to Denise. I think it was over the break. So we'll be putting that into those Google Docs just so departments can get sort of a sense of where they are. PLOs are problematic. So just because there's no way for us to document PLOs and ILOs at this point in Curriculum, so it's a little messier, and there's a lot of different ways in which programs can document that assessment. So, and then I would just say the last note is that Hillary and I spoke. We're going to be doing focusing on 2 ILOs, communication and critical thinking this semester, and Hillary's going to be doing one, and then SLOAC will be taking one at our Spring Flex Day.
Actually, the Accreditation Committee will be doing one. So anyone who wants to help me,
I'm going to put it out there to all of my SLOAC team. I'm sure you'll get some help. So I think that's it. That's really, unless anybody has questions for me.
I have a question. How's it going with updating the assessment website to include the tracking of SLOs?
Oh, right. Okay. So this has been a bit of a challenge because I've been managing the website, and Evan actually has been wonderful. He helped me last semester. We kind of cleaned it up. So the only thing I need to do is put those links on there. And I was having a little trouble just because of the formatting. So I have reached out, Nathan, thank you. I've reached out to Henry, I think is his name. I'm not sure if I'm botching that, but I haven't heard back yet. But I was told that he could help get those links up there and maybe take a look at the website too and just make sure it's formatted well, because again, I'm not WordPress expert, but when we lost our staff who was doing that, I just took it on. So. Okay, great. And I see Nathan just saying, yeah, Henry will assist. So I'm sure we'll get them loaded soon. Right now, what they have is all of the course SLO data. And then I'm thinking I'm talking with my SLOAC team folks about how to input the PLO info, but we'll get that done. So it'll be up there before the team comes.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Laura?
Michael, did you have a question? It looked like there was something in the chat.
Yes, student learning outcomes. And ILOs are institutional learning outcomes. PLOs are program learning outcomes.
Okay, thanks for the reminder.
Sorry, Aria.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry, I'm throwing the jargon, all those acronyms around. And really every program, every certificate or degree has program learning outcomes. And all of those really should track up to those really broad institutional learning outcomes and then track down to the student learning outcomes.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
All
I
right.
think that's all.
So back to accreditation. The final ICER report, I wanted to just show you guys if you haven't seen it. It's exciting. we saw a little peek at it. And we're going to look at some specifics today, but this is the cover. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's lovely. It is less than 300 pages, as Dr. Richardson said. And we're gonna actually look at the improvement plans today. We have 3 improvement plans that we need to stay on top of, and that's the little mini report that it's going to be included in the mini report that Dr. Richardson mentioned, what we've improved on. So just wanted to show you what that looks like, but you're going to see a little more of it today. Also, I wanted to tell you about the Accreditation Day and share with you the proposed agenda. And if you guys have comments or changes that you'd like to propose, you can let me know. So we're having an Accreditation Day on Friday, February 19th from 10, it'll probably be 10 to 3. I don't know why I'm trying to reserve that 15 minutes. So if we could just go through it and I'll tell you what it encompasses. It's really a preparation day for the ACC-JC visit, the entire day. And what, if you've never participated in accreditation visit before, what happens is the team members will request to speak with specific people, and generally they're going to want to talk to the standard lead. So if you were a standard lead, like you were the lead for standard 1, 2, or 3, whether you're faculty, staff, student, or administrator, they're probably going to want to talk to you just to make sure that we're being credible with what we write down and that we know what's in the ICER and that somebody didn't write it for us. But you could also get called to provide clarification. So Laura, I'm assuming members of the assessment team of SLOAC will get called to talk about where we are in assessment now and how we're planning to move forward, just so we make sure we are all in agreement. Any questions on kind of like what that is? It's a really, it's 3 days of meetings, and they dictate who they want to see when. They don't say like, you know, I want to see Nathan Pellegrin, but they'll say we want to see somebody who is responsible for disaggregated data. And so we would suggest our director of research, Nathan Pellegrin. So we have some flexibility, but obviously we want the experts in the room to answer the questions. And then, as I said before, there's going to be, there's required to have 2 open forums. So anyone who's not called in, that is a time when anybody can speak to the accreditation team. And like I said, the president of the college is not allowed to be there. So there's not supposed to be any pressure on people. They're supposed to be able to be honest and speak the truth. And so that way the team can assess, is everything that's written in here actually true? Or, you know, here's the real, you know, the real truth coming from people who are not sort of under pressure from the accreditation team. Any questions on that? And we'll, of course, make that all public. We won't have the schedule until pretty close to this February 19th, which is why we're doing it then. So hopefully we'll have the schedule. February 19th, they said they'll give us at least a week, and they're coming on March 1st. So we're hopeful that we will have the schedule by then and be able to publicly release it to everybody. So if you look at the accreditation day, the first thing we'll talk about is preparing for the virtual visit. So we'll hopefully, again, have that schedule and really lay out what's going to happen when, and make sure that everybody who is an expert knows when they should be on Zoom. They're specific, not only, as Dr. Richardson mentioned, about, you know, not using chat and not being on your phone or having your picture off, but they want you to be professionally dressed. Wearing the accreditation everyday t-shirt is fine. I think they just want to make sure nobody's on their toilet, honestly, or like, you know, has their shirt off or something. But take that as it is, professionally dressed. We will then go into specifics on the mission statement, review cycle, and the the IPB, which is the integrated program and budgeting cycles. I'm going to just hit on that today briefly with you guys so you know what I'm talking about, but not this time. But we want everyone to be familiar with those because those are really important for the college to function as a whole. Also, they're mentioned in almost every standard, so it's a nice way of kind of putting it out there so then we can mention it again as we go through the standards. Dr. Richardson will provide a status update on the quality focus essay, which is a very specific part of the accreditation report that she worked on. And then we'll give you 15 minutes to take a break to grab lunch. And then I'm going to prepare, it will be already prepared, a summary of each standard and the introduction. So basically it's like watching, it's going to be like watching a movie. I'm going to just show the videos. They'll be very specific to the most prominent and important issues that, the highlights, our strengths, the areas that we have as challenges. Again, going through so everybody has a quick knowledge of what's in our ICER, because I know very few people are going to read 289 pages. So I will do that and get it down to a manageable level for you. But feel free, really, to read through the entire thing. And then after we do that, the last part of the day will be our first ILO assessment and discussion. So hopefully some of you will participate. We're going to be doing the communication the institutional learning outcomes. So the college has 6 institutional learning outcomes, and communication is the first one. And so those of you who are faculty, or if you work in student services, we're looking for people to participate so that we can have a broad discussion. And even if you're not participating, you are welcome to come, because we all want to be aware of how the college is both assessing that we're performing these institutional learning outcomes, and also that we can discuss it and get ideas from each other. So for example, I'll be presenting about a speech that we do, and that might be something that another department wants to take that rubric and use as a speech in another class. Any questions or changes or suggestions for the agenda? Because after we meet today, I'm probably going to finalize. I just want to make sure that everybody here is okay with it. Yeah, Arya, you're just on mute.
Just to be clear, so the whole 10 to 2:45, we are going to be expected to be here for the entire period?
So like any other, full day presentation, like flex day or anything else, you come as you can. There's no right expectation. I would say specific people at specific times. I will have those videos of the summary, posted, and I'll send them out to the entire college. So if you don't want to sit and eat your lunch watching these awesome videos I'm making that are going to be so exciting about accreditation, you can do that at another time. And frankly, for some people, it's going to be more important to be familiar with Standard 2 than Standard 4. So it's not like everybody has to watch everything. Obviously, if you're going to participate in the institutional learning outcomes, and that's the only thing you can do because you have other things planned or you have office hours earlier in the day, it's most important for you to be there. Does that answer the question? So we'd like people to come as they can. But we'll record it as well, so we'll make it available to everybody. Other questions, suggestions? Okay, great. I'm just going to go back to the agenda. So that completes our standing items. We're going to move on to old business. So I wanted to, is Lilia here, Dr. Chavez? No? Did we lose her? She was here. I wanted to provide an update. If you remember, late in fall 2020, Nathan helped us to provide a survey for students on student enrollment and the issues that were coming up for students. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, I think it was 1 out of 4 students had challenges in enrolling. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's approximately right. I can get the.
Is that how you remember it, Cooper? Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, I think it was like 24%. It was pretty close to 1 in 4 students. So instead of just, kind of letting that be, we had a series of student enrollment steering committee meetings. And I see Lisa Webb is here. She was part of that. And I know, Cooper, we had some ASMC, excellent participation in those meetings. And we really tried to capture where the issues were and how we could move forward. I had hoped that Dr. Chavez would be here today to update us and let us know. But Cooper, I'm wondering if you've heard anything from your constituents, any comments about this semester. I know that there was an attempt to do a lot more live hours for support for students. Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I'm pulling that up right now because I've got some of that information in one place. One thing that has been a concern has been schedules. I'm still talking to Dr. Richardson about figuring it all out. But there's I went through it and what was it? It was I think it was somewhere around approximately like 450 out of 607 courses or so that were listed as to be announced for their time. Just speaking frankly, if you'll forgive the bluntness, that first of all just seems absurd to me. TBA doesn't mean asynchronous. Asynchronous means asynchronous. So I just really struggle to wrap my mind around that. I was then given the impression that that's the impression that I was given, that the majority of those were actually asynchronous classes, not classes that were to be announced. I've since had my own classes that were listed TBA start, 3 of them. And heard back from most of the students who were reaching out to me trying to figure out what was going on with all that. And just about every single one of them have reported that they are not, in fact, asynchronous and that there is a regular meeting time. And most of those are individuals who have reported that it's mandatory as well, or at least not expressed anywhere, including in the syllabus or announcements or what have you, that it isn't mandatory if that's how they're approaching it. So it's kind of looking to me like people are putting one thing down in paper and then doing another thing in practice in that area. And I understand that there might be some extenuating circumstances revolving around that. I know that the child development department is just spread so thin, but I just don't know if that cuts it.
That sounds like something we need to fix, because you can't require students to be present if you haven't announced the time ahead of time.
Right. And then, a lot of what ends up being done too is that it seems to me like an easy go-to from this could be to make a lot more classes that normally would have a regular meeting time have a non-mandatory meeting rather than no meeting, because realistically the class couldn't end up continuing to function without some sort of meeting. But then having it be a non-mandatory time, people plan around that and students end up suffering for not attending these things. So we're almost like giving them too much opportunity to sabotage themselves, I think.
Okay. So do you have a it sounds like you have a follow-up meeting with Dr. Richardson and Dr. Chavez?
We're more in the email realm at the moment, but
I
I believe we're working out the details.
Okay.
And then one other thing that's been really consistent too is there have been a lot of people just continuing to echo reports of difficulty paying their fees online. I know that's old news, but I'm so much to keep track of. I want to think that there were some updates about there being a lot of improvement in that area, and it's the negative feedback's just kind of remained consistent since. So I'm wondering if a solution put in place maybe just didn't take full effect. It maybe something in the digital realm. I don't fully know on that one.
I'm not sure if you're done, but I was going to ask Lisa, do you want to respond to any of that, or is that outside of your area?
Just the last one in a nutshell here.
Okay.
Just more of last semester's feedback about concerns about Canvas not necessarily be mostly not being posted by the first day of instruction, but sometimes not even being posted, for the whole school, but sometimes not even being posted by the first day of that class.
Thank you. Those are great details that we need to get on top of. Lisa.
So I work directly with counseling. We meet as all of student services every other week. I know that there are certainly efforts to make improvements. I'm sorry to hear that there are continuing issues. I know that in the last several meetings I've been in, which some of you have been in, a couple of you have been in, Lilia has talked about getting some additional help for A&R, because it seems as though that might be where some of the concerns that even I hear and others are located mostly in that area. So Lilia is looking into that. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful. I know but I do want to say I know people understand this is a problem, and particularly with students getting enrolled. I think we just need to move the needle on it, and I know that Lilia is wanting to do that.
Thank you, Lisa. And then Dr. Richardson, are you able to talk even if you don't put your picture on? She's distracted. So
Yes, I'm able to talk. Sorry.
Sorry, Courtney. I'll go to you next. So I was just wondering, your follow-up on, since you're VPI, with instructors or with deans to follow up with instructors on if there was not a day and time listed, that they cannot require students to be there, at least, what I'm saying, for the
Absolutely.
classes.
I mean, the full understanding. I mean, we had a meeting, a CDCPD meeting, I believe it was, where we talked about the fact that faculty could indeed have listed optional times for students, but those times were optional indeed. And any information that was provided at those optional opportunities had to be recorded and provided for students to take advantage of at a later time. So it is my understanding that that's how we're moving forward. The TBA is theoretically just something that's, denotes that it's asynchronous. When it's synchronous, of course, the times are clearly listed there. When it's asynchronous with possible or with optional opportunities, those times have been put in the notes. So if there is any deviation from that arrangement, I am very, very interested in finding out where those outliers are, I'm very interested in finding out where that's happening so that the deans and I can address them directly with the faculty, because, that should not be happening.
Thank you. So Cooper, you can follow up with Dr. Richardson.
Yeah.
We've been in a very frequent email communication, but I'm thinking now maybe a Zoom meeting will be a great idea for us, Cooper.
Absolutely. And just a quick note on that. I do wonder, because, I'm, speaking from ignorance and outside the loop here, because I don't know whether this would have came up in a lengthy training, in a note, a memo, a series of emails, academic planning, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how thoroughly this was impressed upon folks, but I do know I've heard reports from a number of faculty members about it being very difficult for them to navigate the ocean of student emails, major announcements, professional announcements, policy changes. I mean, obviously I could go on, but just so much coming in right now. We all know the situation. I just want to put that fresh in our heads for whatever we do, because I'm kind of getting the impression that more of this is, it doesn't seem like people are trying to not do things the way that you've all planned and agreed and asserted. It seems like people might be, from my conversations, might be confused about the new policy standards or what have you. I'm sure there's exceptions, but I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. All right. I know, Courtney, you wanted to speak, and then Arya and Margie have their hands up.
Yeah, I wanted to speak because the Merritt Technology Committee has been reaching out to different branches of operations, including A&R, to see if we can advocate for improvements to the approval process and workflow for enrollment, record corrections, things that we have to engage with all the time. I know we're definitely looking at that for purchasing and having automated ways to have things approved and move through queues so things don't get blocked, but I have not yet felt that engagement, either in the committee or reaching out personally. And in terms of improving things for student and enrollment, I really would like to look together with A&R at things that we might be able to leverage, especially in the new PeopleSoft upgrade that would help them do more with the number of people that they have and provide the high quality of service that they give to a small number of students to a much larger number. And that's a conversation that we really want A&R to drive. They might look at other solutions that have been done at other campuses and say, hey, Merritt Technology Committee, would this work for us? Is this available? Do we already pay for this module and we're just not using it? So when I hear that need to improve admission records and anything around improving enrollment, I'm really hoping that the Merritt Technology Committee can help improve that for students and the college.
Who would be, could I ask, I don't know if Lisa or Dr. Richardson, who would be, I guess Dr. Chavez, obviously, but who else might be somebody who can facilitate that?
Before I answer that, I really want to say, Courtney, that you took the words right out of the consultant's mouth. Like literally the consultant that we've been meeting with for the last 2 weeks, this strategic enrollment management consultant, that's what he said. He said he met with A&R and he said, if you all would just automate, he said, I feel like they're swamped because so much of what they do could be automated and they could serve so many more students. So Courtney, that is exactly, we don't have his report yet. I think I don't know, Denise, if you know when we're getting our report from him, but he has absolutely said that in 2 different meetings in the last week, the consultant. So that would be Lilia. I mean, ultimately she's the vice president, but I did want to just confirm that there's been a consultant. I think it was he was at all the schools in the district. It wasn't just a Merritt consultant. It was someone who was hired by the district. And he said basically the exact same thing you just said. So I think that Lily is the person then who would ultimately be over that.
Okay, great. I will follow up with Lilia after this meeting. Arya.
Yeah, I was just looking at our own department's schedule just out of curiosity, because back in fall when we were asked how we wanted to present our courses for spring, we were directly asked, are you going to be synchronous, mandatory versus asynchronous 100%? And as I look at the listings, it occurs to me that's a lot of work for Jane to be inputting for every single department to sort of make sure everybody's little details are included. And then there's always the hiccup where the course might have been scheduled with one person in mind back in August and September when you're usually trying to schedule, and then you have a new person coming in who may not even be compatible with that schedule. So I do see a lot of potential for confusion in scheduling. And I just wonder if something can be a little bit more boilerplated so that it's more about selecting choices of how it appears as opposed to collecting information individually from each department, which contains maybe 20 people, all with different ideas of what they want to appear as that little blue text at the bottom of their course. So even within our department, I see examples where it says synchronous, but not mandatory. You have nowhere, anywhere it says asynchronous, it just says online, right? And then you have the very clear ones where it tells you exactly the times and the dates, and it says online. So everybody's online, that's clear, unless you're doing one of those really rare things. But it just seems like there should be a system that's a little bit more easier on our scheduler. And that's another point I want to bring up. I mean, are we still at the point where a single individual is solely responsible for the scheduling and no one else is sort of the backup, who's trained to help if in case something happens to Jane? I know that when she's had to leave campus for various times, we've had to depend on a different scheduler within the district. Like College of Alameda's scheduler will now become a scheduler for 2 campuses now. And I just wonder if that's sustainable, or if we're going to eventually lose Jane for all this craziness that we put on the shoulders of a single individual.
That is a great question. Dr. Richardson, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I'll just say that you make an excellent point. Is one that I've thought of not only for Jane, but for other key people here at the college. We really need to do some cross training and have some contingency plans in place, and also a manual of everything that specific people do, particularly people who are so critical to the running of this college. So I actually do need to run now to move, but I did want to say that, your points are very well taken. And I'm making a note to have a conversation with the executive team about doing that, because this is not fair. I mean, to put all that on one person, and we need to do better. We also need to look into automation options for certain things. So thank you for bringing that up, Arya.
And it sounds like we need to be really clear come summer and fall about, if you have an asynchronous class, make it clear. If you're going to have optional meetings, make it clear. If you're going to require people to be there, make it clear. I know Margie said she's really busy, so I have time for your question, Margie, or your contribution, but I don't know if you're available.
Yeah, hi everyone. I just wanted to add in terms of at access for students. I say this, in our overtime, that the Welcome Center is available. I'm very short staffed, but I am helping students. So I know a lot of students go directly to admissions and records for enrollment because it just makes sense to them. Admission, they want to be enrolled, so their first contact, would be admission and records. But in support of admissions and records, if it's hurting our enrollment, we need to really stress the fact that we have the access point, which is the Welcome Center. I know that Dr. Chavez and her team is working on developing I believe they already created some material to go out to give information about access and highlight the Welcome Center. So I just wanted to say that, I'm very short staffed. It's just me and another student working it, but it's okay because we're handling each student one at a time, and we're answering the phones every time. We're responding to emails the same day. We are doing our part. And just to if you have any students or any faculty that may need, students come to them and want to know where to go, they're not getting a response, and admissions records, I think if they can help, to reach out to us or reach out to me, I'll do my best in helping navigate, because I know admissions records are overwhelmed, but we're working as a team to make sure that no students fall through the loop. So just want to add that.
Thanks so much, Margie. And I saw in the chat that Lily input regarding payment processing, there will be a system upgrade in February, which will hope to address these issues that students are having. Firefox and Internet Explorer are the preferred browsers to use for payments. Main issues are for those using Google Chrome, which if you have a Chromebook, that's what you're using. Okay. We have to move on soon, so I'm going to call on Michael and Nathan, but if you could limit to 2 minutes, your comments.
Yeah, I'll be even quicker. So the last issue that I've been become aware that students must be facing, I've been finding through my own experience, but have become aware of the prevalence of it through it being an issue in at least half of my classes every single semester. Before we even shifted to remote learning, I have had recording accommodations for my disabilities, which impact short-term memory and executive functions. So it's really probably my most valuable accommodation to me. In about 50% of the classes I've attended, there have been significant issues and need for discussion, even borderline negotiation, to get my accommodations honored. Sometimes people are uncomfortable with it. Sometimes they don't understand it. I mean, it's been sometimes they feel it doesn't apply to their class. And, I always take it patiently. I always give each person the benefit of the doubt and just fully explain what the reasonings are, the reason why I'm not even the example. It's just a black and white issue. The accommodation is there, we fulfill it. I've gone to the point of going to a SAS counselor and communicating that this has been an issue, communicating that I have been in communication with it and having no luck resolving and getting my accommodations honored. And the most that I was provided, I was basically, I was scrutinized for not trusting that this would be an unsafe situation for me if I didn't retain my anonymity. As I said, I wouldn't be comfortable. Their suggestion was to have a meeting between them, the professor, and myself. I said, I'm not comfortable with this. I've already had a thorough conversation with them, explained, showed them what have you, really pushed for this to happen. It's not happening. I don't want to have a different experience in class because I've run and complained about them now. So I've just ridden out through some classes without my accommodations.
So I'm sorry,
and if that's happening over, just in finishing, if that's happening over accommodations, I know and have personally experienced the recording thing, the standard you mentioned is being an issue throughout the campus.
Okay, I want to address the accommodations issue because I'm a disability advocate and I'm frankly very pissed off about that. You can sue somebody for not meeting your accommodations, and your SAS counselor should be able to follow up directly without outing you, so to speak. I see Lisa nodding her head and she's the expert, so I'll let her talk.
Well, no, but no, you're saying exactly what I would be saying.
Okay. So I will forward this, Cooper, directly to, I believe Francis Moy is the head of counseling at SAS. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, frankly, that's who these conversations were not entirely productive with in my conversation.
Okay, well, I'll copy everybody else in SAS and make sure. But from your perspective, you have a right to, well, you could do a grievance, first of all, against the instructor, but you can sue the instructor. And we had somebody successfully sued. So I think it's just something that SAS needs to put out there again to ensure that everyone, all faculty, know what student rights are in terms of disability rights. So I appreciate you letting us know that. Arya said, I thought all lectures must be recorded. And that I have not gotten clarification on, though it seems like the right thing to do. I've not heard anybody say that outright, but I will follow up with Dr. Richardson. I believe if you're having lectures that are not mentioned as required, then absolutely you have to make them available to students. Is that what you mean by
yes,
that?
The asynchronous ones was what she specified.
Yeah.
A little bit ago.
Okay, thanks, Arya.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I have to take off early.
Appreciate.
Have a great day.
Appreciate. Okay, Nathan, if you could limit to 2 minutes and then we'll move on.
Sure, no problem. I wanted to follow up on the issue raised with there being an overwhelming amount of traffic and inquiries in services areas, and the topic of automation and getting support with automation is certainly a topic that has come up in MTC, as Courtney has mentioned, the Technology Committee. And it occurs to me that this is one role of the District Technology Committee. So I will be bringing it up at the District Technology Committee meeting. I'll put it on, request to put it on the agenda for discussion in March. I think the agenda is closed, I believe, for the upcoming meeting. But it can also be raised in the upcoming meeting because the PeopleSoft upgrade, this is so much tied to the PeopleSoft upgrade. But beginning that discussion so that we could really leverage the district resources in building in some automation. I think it's a good opportunity to find some consultants to assist with this. Just want to add that.
Is that, you got it, Nathan? Is that what you wanted to say, or did you get cut off?
I think I cut myself off. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I want, if there's no other questions, I wanted to share with you the improvement plans we have in our ISA report. So within the ISA report, you're reporting that you're meeting all the standards. And if you're not, then what you do is you create an improvement plan. And we have 3 improvement plans. So I wanted you all to be aware of what those are. And I'm sorry that Cooper had to go because one of the areas was ensuring that the ASMC had a voice. But it seems like we are keeping up. So let me share my screen. Okay, so the first one I believe is on page 87. Yeah, okay. So this is the first improvement plan. This is from standard, it's sad, right, when I know the page numbers. This is from standard 1B. So standard 1 is mission statement and institutional effectiveness. So this is about disaggregated data, and Nathan, I'll give you an opportunity here, but disaggregated data, right, is when we take the data apart to ensure that students from different demographics are having equitable opportunities for student achievement, or that we're paying attention to that at least. And so if, as you can see here at the January Flex Day, we said we would have a workshop on how to locate, retrieve, and use disaggregated data, that there would be a publication of this workshop, and that communication of disaggregated data on student outcomes would go to the Board of Trustees. So Nathan, I just wanted to hand it to you to let us know if those things have occurred.
All right, well, concerning the Flex Day workshop, there was a session on using Power BI to access reports, and in that session, I reviewed the public reports that are available that show disaggregations of success rates and degree attainment and so on by demographics, and as well as there was another presentation of the Student Equity Committee that detailed data analysis and support of equity planning. And in the last bulleted item,
the recording is available on the professional development website, correct?
Oh, yes, yes. And it is, the recording has been posted on the PD website. Thank you. So regarding communication of disaggregated data on student outcomes to the Board of Trustees, that has not been scheduled. However, there might be something already in the works by District IR. I will check. It used to be a requirement that the Board of Trustees viewed once a year a report on the student equity outcomes, specifically the student success metrics. And so I need to check up on the status of that. If so, then there should be on the calendar a slot in the spring for the Board of Trustees to review that data, this kind of data.
I'll just say that because we have it in our improvement plan, talk to David, because we need to present it to the board in February before they come.
Okay. All right. Very good.
All right. Number 2 is about assessment, and that is in standard 2A, which is instructional programs. Sorry about that. So the activities started in November, And the validation of APUs did take place, as Laura said. And then in December, the prioritization of resource requests was based on assessment. And we know that those validations were given to the deans. I'm not sure how we prove that they took it into account, but we should, if there's a rubric, so I guess that's what we depend on. And then accelerating the Ilo assessment is what we're talking about now, and doing, having us as the accreditation team perform one of those in February at the accreditation day, and then the SLOAC team doing the critical thinking ILO assessment on March 18th for the Flex Day. Is that correct, Laura? Yeah, okay. So it looks like we're on top of that. You want to add anything or? No, okay. And then the third improvement plan is under 4A, and 4 is leadership. And so this is under our leadership structure, right? Our senates include classified senate, faculty senate, and students. And so we really had an issue with the ASMC receiving proper training and having a voice. And we've tried to really pay attention to that. And hopefully the Accreditation Committee has been successful in supporting that. So we wanted to make sure proper training was given. And so Doris, as the director of student activities, was able to have our ASMC join the other associated students and get a very thorough training on January 12th. I can show you the agenda if you'd like. This is one of the presentations. I guess that's probably too much in the woods, isn't it? But there is an agenda, and they have. We also had Doris get that training. They also were able to do the Robert's Rules of Order training that was given to all of us in November. So they've had a lot of effective meeting training since we put this out. And then every Flex Day moving forward, there should be training for both the ASMC and their student advisor. And so that's something that we're committed to. Any questions on, oh, I'm sorry. And then if we move down here, if you look, I can make this a little bigger for you. Implement clear channels of communication for the ASMC leadership to reach out to Merritt students. The ASMC student advisor will meet regularly twice a month with ASMC leadership. So that's been happening. And then ASMC student advisor will post ASMC announcements on Merritt College social media. So they now are able to do that. And they have their own page as well, in addition to having access to the college. So it looks like we're keeping up on that. Any questions? This is the work of accreditation. It's really finding where we have challenges, documenting, making a plan, and then, keeping up with it. This is what keeps me up at night. So, for those of you, including Laura, who get texts from me, I apologize, but I want to be able to answer those questions with a smile on my face when the ACCJC comes to visit the beginning of March. Okay, next on the agenda, and I'm sorry I'm doing a lot of talking. Just to let you know, the Participatory Governance Handbook is approved as a draft form, but we're hoping that that gets approved by the council. I don't think it was in January. Was anybody at that council meeting? I don't think it was. So we're looking for February for that to get approved, but it's done. So that's good. We finally have an updated faculty handbook. And if you didn't see it yet, we should make sure that that gets sent out. And then the last piece of old business, the Accreditation Everyday T-shirts distribution and those videos that we talked about. Okay, so now it is time for us to make sure that you have your shirts. Aria, you got yours, right? Oh, you're on mute.
I got it. I'm not wearing it today.
That's okay. No, that's
I'm wearing my Mike Kamala shirt.
Oh, that's awesome. That's equity, baby. So Oakland in the house. We want to make sure that anybody who is presenting has the opportunity to have that, who's going to be talking to the ACCJC has that, their shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out another email to everyone who has not picked it up. And if you want us to just, I'm happy to drop them off at people's doors, or if we have to mail them to you, we'll mail them to you. But it's getting close to the visit, so we want to make sure you get those. And then we are organizing to have this Warm Campus tour where we for the videos. Okay, so there's two separate videos. One was a video I asked you guys all to make, right, with yourselves, and I still want that. I'll send you an email because now we actually have a webmaster that can easily put this on the website. But the second thing we're doing to welcome this virtual visit and make it feel more like they can actually see the campus and the grounds and tour around. Our idea is to have the campus map, and you can click on any part of the campus map, and then it'll bring you to a specific person or department, and they'll be highlighting their department. So I believe that the president and the vice president are going to do some like more general tours of the campus, and we'll have those videos available. And then I know that Rick Ramos made a bunch of videos for the CE programs, and like little 30-second videos were about like recruiting, but we can use those. And then I sent out requests to a number of departments to ask if they would be interested in making another video. I know that my CrossFit said that they were going to do one, so Feather and Giselle are going to work on that. But we're also we're hoping as many as possible so that we have a rich, broad spectrum of Merritt programs. Any questions on that? By the way, Laura, landscape horticulture is one of those highlights we'd really like to have. Particularly having just the grounds and showing.
Yeah, we might even have some videos already. So let me.
That would be fantastic. And literally 2 minutes or less is what we're looking for.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, just send it to me. Did you not get that email? Oh, sorry, Marie.
Oh no, you're okay. Sorry,
I might have missed it, Hillary. I didn't see it come through. I saw that there was something this week about them, but our department wasn't on there, so I ignored it. But no, I'll reach out. I think we've got a couple that we could probably use. So.
Fantastic. Okay. Go ahead, Marie. I'm sorry.
I was just going to add, I flagged it. I apologize. I wasn't able to respond, but I'm glad that Rick was able to send you the links to the new videos. But I was going to say there were also videos that we had compiled for the Merritt Hub that are in addition to the ones that he.
Well, those are the ones that Rick sent.
Well, no, they're slightly different. So some of them we had compiled that were already existing, meaning they're like existing video content that we pulled from like Peralta TV and things like that. So there's an additional archive. It's not as clean as the ones he sent.
Okay.
Those are like polished and clean. But I just wanted to say, if you're looking for additional video content, there's even more. There's even more around. It may be more like easier than trying to get folks to do new videos. We attempted that and we're not the most successful.
Yeah, please send me any links that you have, Marie. That's great.
Okay, sure.
Because I'd love to have cybersecurity on there. I can talk to Courtney about that. But I know there's a video can be interviewed on Peralta TV, but I don't know that that's they're not going to watch that. So let's see. All right. So new business. Okay, we are at 1:10. We have 20 minutes, so I will quickly just want to do the quick check-in with you guys to show you the mission cycle and the IPB cycle. And the reason that I want to take the time to do that is because these are really central to everything in the ICER. And so I just want you guys as the accreditation committee to be familiar with them. We're going to present them again. We're going to actually take a half an hour to present them on the accreditation day. But because we are all liaisons with the college, I just wanted you guys to see what I'm talking about at least. And most of you are going to be like, yeah, of course I've seen these. Let's see. Let me stop here so I can actually get it up first. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So here's the mission. Call it the mission statement review process. If you guys haven't seen this, this is a 5-year cycle, and we are in that year where we are doing the mission statement review, right? So if you were at Flex Day, the president went over some different options we're looking for, and we do have a recording of it, some different options that people are talking about for the mission statement. Nathan sent out a survey to ask people some questions about the mission statement, and the next step is the, you pronounce that CMC? Is that how it's pronounced? CMPC? Is going to, I guess, compile this into at least one new mission statement. I'm not sure we really have one. And send that out.
It should say, instead of CEMPC, sorry, just to correct it, it should say IEC.
Right, now that's the IEC. This might be an old version of it.
Yes.
So is there a plan at the Flex Day, right? We have a plan at the Flex Day to really dig into this a little?
Yes, they were going to, we might be sending out another survey depending on like when we meet next for the task force team, we decide what to do next. But during the next Flex Day event, we'll really we might present the draft, like alternative versions of the mission statement.
And so we just want you to be familiar with this visual, and it will come up. It'll come up in questions, particularly Nathan, you'll be probably asked about this as an IEC committee member. The other cycle is the integrated planning and budget model. Is this the newest one? Do I have it correct? Oh no, this is 2016. Can we make some corrections to this?
Yeah, let me. I'll go get the link. I'll post the link in there.
Okay. In any case, this is another cycle that is throughout the mission. I'm sorry, the ICER. So it comes in every single standard because everything goes back to how we are integrating our planning with our mission statement, with our assessment, with our evaluations, and then with resource requests. Now here's the link. So,
the link in the chat. That page has all the admin procedures as well as the flowcharts.
So if I, sorry, if I share my screen, can you tell me which one to click on here? Oh, I see it. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is the IPB model, and as you can, so we should change this revision date, right? Because it's more updated.
Good point. Yes.
So it's a 1-year model, but using the program review or APU and other assessment information. Okay. So obviously we don't have time to go through this in detail now, but I did want you to be familiar with these two cycles or models because they're going to come up in every single standard, and that's why we're going to take time during accreditation day to really go through them. Okay. Yeah. Right.
So did you recently send us the most recent document, or are we just going directly to the website for the new?
For the ICER?
Yeah.
So you should be able to go to the accreditation page. Here, let me share that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Here, I'll just show you. I appreciate that question. And that's something that we should make sure and show everybody. So here's the accreditation page, and right, the first thing on there, if you just click on that, it'll bring it right up. And it's nice you can search by pages, and there's a little guide on there. So, okay. So that is old business. All right. So we did the check-in with the mission cycle and IPB cycle. So the countdown to March 1st. Okay. The next thing that we really need to make sure we do is to update our website so it is accurate and credible. And so you are going to be receiving in your emails, this committee, 2 things from me. One, remember we all have committees that we're liaisons with. We want to make sure that every shared governance committee has an updated website with accurate membership and accurate bylaws. And if they want to make anything else, put anything else on there, that they have the opportunity. So Nathan created a form that I'll send to all of you. And if you can get it out to your committees, that would be wonderful. And to encourage them to complete those as soon as possible so that Henry can then update our web pages. And the second one that everyone in the college is going to receive is to look at their department website. So if you are a department chair, or even if you are a faculty member or classified staff, to just look at your website. And if you see any issues, to send in changes. It would be great, right, if there's one person, so Henry's not getting like 20 forms. So obviously, it would be great if it's the chair, the director, but we want it to be as accurate as possible when the ACC JC comes to visit. We know we can't have everything fixed, but there's some really old information on there, and we want to have it updated. And if you're like me and you already like sent your dean all kinds of great stuff to put on there last semester and it never got done, it's because we never had a webmaster. So just have to do it again. The link to the form. I haven't sent it out yet, Marie. I'm going to right after this meeting. I will send it out to you, everybody.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we actually have assigned our staff assistants to sort of support and walk through every single page and work with the chairs just to support them, because I know this needs to be done soon. So we'll try our best to sort of send it all from one location.
Yeah, that's great. And you might have to do several, because I know the form only allows for 10 uploads. So if, for example, you're putting pictures of people in each department, you might have to do one for each department.
Okay. And then is there a space in the form where if there's a page that needs to be deleted, there's these random pages that are linked to nothing, but we can still get to them? Is there a way to note that in there in the form as well?
Nathan, do you remember? I can look at the form too.
Because there's a lot of those kind of floating around. And
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Nathan, there's some of these, there's these old pages that are not really linked to anything, but you can still find them, like they're live and they're active.
Yeah, if you find them, you can submit them as their own form, or put it.
Is there a link in the form? Will the form allow us to note that?
Here's the form, Marie. So you can hear
context remove.
Okay. That's context remove, but is there just like a general? Oh, here, context. Yeah, context remove right there.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, and then moving on to announcements. Obviously, Accreditation Day, Friday, February 19th. We'll say 10 to 3. Yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to hold on to about 15 minutes to about me. And then the institutional learning outcome assessment dates. The first one will be on Accreditation Day. The second one is on the March Flex Day. That's March 18th. And then our next meeting is February 12th. It's the second Friday in February. And then, of course, the ACCJC visit is March 1st through 3rd. So it appears I was rushing for not good reason, because we still have 10 minutes left. But I will ask if there are questions, comments, challenges, suggestions. Okay. Thank you all. I will reach out to see if anybody would be willing to assist with that Ilo assessment. And other than that, like I said, you're going to receive from me a few emails with forms. And as I go through these minutes, which I will probably this weekend, I'll follow up with all the other issues that came up from the discussion. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you. Just one more thing. I know that not everybody's here, but I have to just say the work that went into that ISA report. Neem, Ty, Stephanie Harding, Tom Regenberger, obviously Denise and David and myself. Am I missing Nathan? Nathan, am I missing anybody else?
Well, I certainly didn't do as much as everybody else did.
Oh, Dan Lawson. He was doing those links at the midnight hour, those last minute links. So I have to say that everybody really pitched in, and we worked as a team to get that done.
And Stephanie Harding as well.
Yes, I said Stephanie.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, now you can go. Thank you.
Tremendous job. So I got kudos. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.